YouTubers, it's Jessica back again, and today's topic is what to do when your husband wants to quit his job to start a business. If you are faced with this dilemma, then please watch this video because we are going to discuss this situation, what to do if this situation arises, and how you can support your husband in the process. So I have been through this myself. As you know, my husband's a small business owner. About 6 years ago, I think, he came up with this idea that he wanted to have his own business, and in the landscaping business, because his dad had been doing it on the side and he had done it before, and we had not been married very long. So we got married in 2012, and it was probably toward the end of 2012 that he decided he wanted to start his own business. So he had a job at a factory. It was a decent job. I mean, it's not like he was ever gonna be, making big bucks, but it was a decent job, steady pay, overtime, benefits, all that. So when he came to me and he said, look, I want to quit my job, my first reaction was like, what? You want to quit your job? No. I was scared, because I was like, well, how are we going to make it? But besides being scared, I also just didn't want that life for him or for me, because I saw my dad go through having his own business. And my dad started his business when I was about 2. And he's a CPA. And he had it just until a couple years ago. So he had it for a very long time. And I remember always him just, working and being stressed out. And, it's not like he ever became a millionaire or anything. So I knew he liked the freedom of being his own boss and the freedom of being able to take me on field trips and go on vacations when he wanted to and those kinds of things. But I always saw the stress level, and I just always felt it wasn't worth it. And I said to myself, I'm never going to own my own business, because I didn't want that. And even though I did work for my dad for many, many, many years, I didn't want that stress on myself. I wanted to just go to work, do my work, go home, and not have to worry about everything. Because when you own your own business, you're always, always, always thinking about it. Always. I mean, you don't stop. It doesn't stop. There's no stopping. So I knew that. And that was my main reason that I did not want him to start his own business, because I knew all the sacrifices that were going to go into it. And I knew that I was going to have to make sacrifices, and he wasn't going to be there for this and that and whatever holiday event or whatever it was. So I was scared about that. That was my initial reaction. And so my guess is most people's reaction is fear of income loss. I don't know what other fears, maybe the same thing as me. You don't want them to work themselves to death. Fear of stability. Stability loss, rather. Especially if that's the only income there is. Now, I was working at the time, probably making $15 an hour. I was working for my dad. There's just 3 of us then, and we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. So, okay, so you're going to have your initial reaction. But if your initial reaction is negative, you need to step back. And you need to go and you need to think about it. Because this is your husband. If this is his dream, as long as it's not something, I don't know. People say that whatever's your dream, you should go for it. Obviously, if it's like, oh, I'm going to quit my job because I want to become an Olympic gymnast, and he's 45 and he has no Olympic or gymnastics training, that makes no sense, right? But we're talking about he wants to start his own business, something that's going to be producing income. So you need to step back, you need to think about it. Okay, what is the worst case scenario if he quits his job? Okay. I don't know, if it depends on your income level, right? Maybe you guys have money in the bank. And so it's not a big, it's not, loss of income isn't scary for you because you have a bunch of money in the bank. And if you need a few months, you have that money in the bank for him to make income. Maybe you have zero money in the bank. And that's really scary because you don't know what's going to happen. And you live paycheck to paycheck. So what you have to do, is you just have to think, well, how can I support my husband in this? Because this is what he really wants. Because that's what you would want. If you wanted to open your own business, if you wanted to quit your job and you wanted to open your own business, you would want the support from your spouse. So you have two choices. You can fight this or you can support him. Now, everybody that's watching this video is not going to be a Christian as I am. I am a Christian. So I know that I'm obligated and I am called to support my husband, but I believe that even if you're not a Christian, you're called to support your husband anyway. That's why you're his wife. Hello. So, if you are a Christian, I would say pray about it and ask God to give you the wisdom and the strength and trust in God that he will provide for you. If you're not a Christian, then I would, you could sit down and make a list of the pros and cons, go over it with your husband and say, here are my concerns, and see what his response is. And maybe after you discuss, maybe you feel better. Maybe, he tells you, well, okay, you don't have to worry about this because of this. But listen, even if you don't have a ton of money in the bank, there's never really a great time to start your own business, right? You just have to start it. You just have to do it. Just like there's never a good time to have a baby. Well, I'm not ready. You're never going to be ready to have a baby. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if you have $50,000 in the bank. Nothing's going to prepare you for that responsibility. It's you've never done anything like it in your life. Same thing with starting a business. So my advice is support your husband. And how can you do that? What does he need? Does he need your help? Does he need you to get an extra job? I'm going to tell you what I did. So I told my husband, okay, quit your job. I will support us. I will support us for the first year. I worked my job. I did tutoring on the side. I did cleaning on the side. I did teaching Spanish, which is kind of like tutoring to preschool kids, also on the side. I think there was one other thing I did. And I helped him create the company and did all the administrative and bookkeeping. I told him, if in 2 years you're not bringing home income or this business hasn't grown or is not becoming successful, you have to find a job. We made that deal. And in March will be 6 years since the business started, opened. So it did work out. It did work out. And that first year I did support us. I think he brought home $2,600 for income that first year. Not sales, but that's what he brought into the home. So it can be done. Sometimes you got to get creative. But we busted our butts, both of us, that first year. I would be working late. I would come home. We would stay up till midnight working on stuff for the business. I was always working. Now, I only had one kid then, so it was a little easier, but I have 3 now. That's what I did. I recommend it. 2 years, yeah. If you're not making some money by 2 years, well, you're probably doing something wrong. Maybe you need to kick it into gear more if you can't bring any money home after 2 years. Something's not right. So you know, there are sacrifices that go into having your own business, for sure. And there are sacrifices that go into being the wife of a business owner. Big time. Big time. But there are benefits as well. And in fact, that's going to be my next video, is the sacrifices and the benefits of as a wife of a business owner, or just even as a business owner. But I'm the wife, even though I do work in the business. I think a lot of the wives do work in the business. There are some that don't, but so now this is going to be our best year so far. We're going to have the most in sales that we've ever had, and we're also on our 10x journey. So it's only going to go up from here. We are 10xing it. We are 10xing our marriage, our life, our business. And so, I mean, it's only going to get better. So my advice is, if your husband comes to you and says he wants to quit his job, don't freak out too much. I mean, you can internally freak out, but like, don't, go crazy on him and start screaming at him. Why would you do this to me? Have your meltdown inside, and then just, say, hey, I need some time to process this idea. Go make your pros and cons lists. Go over it with him. How can we address these? How are we going to handle paying the bills? How are we going to handle this? How are we going to handle that? Figure it out and support him in whatever way you can. For everybody, that's different. For some people, that's, doing all the cooking, making his lunches, doing his laundry. For some people, that's taking an extra job on. For some people, that's helping in the business. We're all different. We all play different roles. So whatever your role is, figure that out and just go forward and support him, because that's what you're called to do as a wife. And that's not old-fashioned. I mean, there's so many women out here now who want to be feminists, and, trust me, I'm all for women's rights. I'm all for equal treatment of women. But the fact is that if you're married, you are to support your husband just as he is to support you. If you don't have a marriage where you want to support your husband, then I don't know why you're married. Honestly. Don't have a clue. So again, my next video is going to be on the sacrifices or cons of, I wouldn't call them cons, but sacrifices, but also the benefits to being the wife of a small business owner. And thanks for watching. If you like my channel, give me a subscribe, like my video. Also, if you're a wife of a small business owner, or if you're someone who just went through this, comment below. Let me know, what did you do? How did you react when your husband said he wanted to